December 6th, Luke 6. We are back here again with another Bible study. If you are ready to be convicted, keep watching, because this chapter hit me like a brick. So let's just dive right in, okay? First of all, it starts off about debates with the Sabbath, right? The Pharisees were debating Jesus because back in the day, the Pharisees were like, yo, the Sabbath is the Lord's day. You are not to do anything. You are not to work. You are not to heal. You are not to do miracles. You aren't to do anything. You're supposed to go to church and give the day to the Lord, which that was what they believed in back then. Emphasis on back then. Anyways, now they're talking to Jesus, and only the priest could lawfully eat it and shared it with the companions. So then he said to them, the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath. And that's Jesus talking to them. So then it says here, on the Sabbath, Jesus went into the synagogue and taught, and there was a man there whose right hand was withered. The scribes and Pharisees watched him closely to see if he would cure on the Sabbath, so that they might discover a reason to accuse him. Because the Pharisees are trying to accuse Jesus. They're trying to give a reason to persecute Jesus and get rid of him. So discover a reason to accuse him. There we go, verse 8. But he realized their intentions and said to the man with the withered hand, come up before us. And he rose and stood there. Then Jesus said to them, I ask you, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath rather than to do evil, to save a life rather than to destroy it? Looking around at all of them, he then said to him, stretch out your hand. And so he did, and his hand was restored. But they became enraged and discussed together what they might do with Jesus. And I just think it's crazy that they got mad at Jesus for performing a miracle on the Sabbath. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to you guys. Let me know down below. But anyways, I just wanted to point out in verse 12 when it says, in those days he departed to the mountain to pray, and he spent the night in prayer to God. So I just wanted to point out that throughout Luke so far, I've noticed a lot, I don't know if you guys have noticed it, that Jesus prays alone quite often. And I wonder if that's because it's more intimate with God. When you are alone, when you are praying with God in your room without distractions, or in the shower, or wherever you are, and it's just you and God talking, it is so much easier to hear his voice and to understand. And think of it like talking to your friend. Think of it, if you're talking to your friend at school in a classroom full of people, or in your room by yourselves, which is easier to understand? What is more intimate? What can you have those deeper conversations, create those deeper connections with? Majority of the time, it's in your room with your friend, because there are no distractions. There's no one that can listen in. It's just you and your friend growing the bond. And in the same sense, when we pray to God that way, that is deepening our connection with the Lord. Now, I'm not saying it's not okay to pray with people or in front of people or aloud. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I am just pointing out that it is good to pray alone with God. In the next like little section, there's a large crowd. Jesus was teaching. They're from Judea, Jerusalem, and the coastal region of Tyre and Sidon. I probably pronounced this wrong, so I'm sorry. And they all came here to be healed of their diseases, and even those who were tormented by unclean spirits were cured. This is the cool part, everyone in the crowd sought to touch him, because power came forth from him and healed them all. That's aura. I literally, bro, wrote down flip aura next to that verse, because that's just freaking tough. And Jesus can heal you as well. You know, if you're struggling with addiction, anxiety, I know temptations, lust, that's a big thing for me and for everyone. That, not everyone, but a lot of people struggle with lust. Come to God. Don't focus on defeating it. Focus on fleeing from it. It says in 1 Corinthians... I wish I knew the exact verse, to flee from sexual immorality, because this is the only sin that you do against your own body, because you're never going to be able to defeat lust. You're only going to be able to continuously flee from it and seek God. And the closer you are to Jesus, the easier it is to flee from it. Next in verse 21, it says, blessed are you who are weeping, for you will laugh. It's just a good reminder that God will come through. But this is where the real conviction comes in. First of all, I want to give you a reminder, or a uplifting in a way. If you're a Christian, and whether you post about the gospel, you pray, you post verses, you wear crosses around your neck, you wear clothing like Seek Jesus, get this link in bio, use my code, by the way, that's very comfy. Anyways, I'm sorry. If you are obviously and publicly displaying that you are a Christian, you're going to get persecuted, you're going to get laughed at, you're going to get picked on, you're going to get teased, and that's good. It's good. It's a beautiful thing. Do you want to know why? Because in Luke 6:22 it says, blessed are you when people hate you and when they exclude and insult you and denounce your name as evil on account of the Son of Man. Rejoice and leap for joy on that day. Behold, your reward in heaven will be great. Because every joke, and I put that in quotes because a lot of times people aren't joking, they just disguise it as a joke. So every joke, insult, problem, or anything that people have with you because of Jesus shows you're doing the right thing. You are proudly proclaiming the love of Jesus Christ, and that is an amazing thing that we need to do in our everyday lives. This next section is big. It's the love of enemies. Yup, I'm talking to you. You don't love your enemies right. I don't love my enemies right. Ain't nobody love their enemies right except Jesus, right? It says in verse 27, but to you who I say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who mistreat you. I literally wrote my Bible. I need to do better at this because I do. Sometimes when I get mad, when I feel insulted, I just go back and I insult that person, or I go back and I talk about them, or I just get angry and stuff like that. But no, I just got to be like, you can say that about me. I love you. I love you anyways. You know what I'm saying? That's what you got to do. I'm not even going to lie, bro. I highlighted this whole section because I got highlighter happy for a quick second. But a lot of the verses, like 31, do to others as you would have done to you. Verse 35, but rather love your enemies and do good to them and lend expecting nothing back. Holy crap. Then your reward will be great and you will be children of the Most High, for he himself is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful just as your Father is also merciful. Because it says here in verse 32, for if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do the same, right? So just displaying the love of God doesn't hurt you. It doesn't cost you anything, right? Next section is judging others. The literally first two words in verse 37 are stop judging and you will not be judged. Stop judging people. I struggle with it. You struggle with it. Stop. Because if we continuously judge others and don't forgive, we won't be forgiven either. It says, forgive and you will be forgiven. Give gifts and you will be given to you. Because you cannot look at the plank in your brother's eye when you have one twice as big in your eye. Meaning you can't be calling people out. Then you're just a hypocrite. Verse 39, can a blind person guide a blind person? Will not both fall into the pit? So I took that as don't follow advice from people who are spiritually blind. Because they're just going to lead you straight to hell with them. Get spiritual advice, A, from God, with the Bible, or B, spiritual people. Whoa. The next one is basically what I just repeated. Why do you notice a splinter in your brother's eye, but do not perceive the wooden beam in your own? How can you say to your brother, let me remove that splinter in your eye when you don't even notice the wooden beam in your own eye? You hypocrite! Remove the wooden beam from your eye first, then you will see clearly to remove the splinter in your eye. And it's something, again, I need to work on because it's so true. Now, this is the biggest part. It says, for every tree, in verse 44, for every tree is known by its fruit. Because you're going to know if someone is truly of God by the way they treat you, by the way they act most of the time, by the way they present themselves, by the way they speak, by how loving and kind they are, and if they show the fruits of the Spirit. It says in verse 45, a good person out of the store of goodness in his heart produces good, but an evil person out of a store of evil produces evil. For the fullness of the heart the mouth speaks. So however people act, however they present themselves, that's what's in their heart. That's actually how they feel, and that just reveals how they're truly feeling, because actions speak louder than words. The last part, it says 46, why do you call me Lord, Lord, but do not do what I command? How can you say you're a Christian and believe in God, but you go and party every night, and you go and hook up with a bunch of girls, but you go and drunk, and you go and smoke? Now, I'm not judging you because I messed up too. I've committed and I've done things I regret, but God also knows my heart, and he knows I'm seeking him. So if you are purposely living in sin and you are purposely neglecting God, it's time to come back to him, because he will forgive you. Because listening to God and his commandments is like building your house on a rock. When the flood comes and the river bursts against your house, you do not fall, nor does it shake, because it was well built. So build your life on God, for he is a firm foundation. I love y'all, and Jesus loves you more. And I'm so sorry this video was so long, but I hope you got something out of it.